Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Chow With Lau. And today I'm going to show you how to make beef and onion, another classic Chinese dish, but one I think is seriously underrated. You're going to like this one, guys. Stick around. Right guys, so we're going to jump straight into it. I'm going to start by preparing the beef. I've got about, 500 grams of silverside here, which is a really cheap cut of beef. It's used for roasting, although even if you roasted it, I think it'd be quite tough. But I'm going to show you how to prepare it the Chinese way to make sure that it's nice and tender. I'm only going to use about half of this because that's going to serve 2, 3, maybe even 4 people. So the first thing we're going to do is cut away this layer of sinew and toughness. We don't want that gristle that's going to be, so we can just use a sharp knife and we can just get rid of the vast majority of this. Just taking care we don't take away too much meat with it. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is ascertain which way the grain of the meat is going. As you can see, it's actually going that way. So we're going to cut it in half again. And that means we can actually start to cut it across the grain. We're going to cut it into quarters. And we're going to cut it across the grain like this, into thin little slices, just like that. Each one is a bite size, okay? So this is where you're going to really need a sharp knife. We're going to maximize the amount of meat that we have. This is going to make for a very economical meal, but at the same time, we're not going to skimp on flavor. Okay, again, we're cutting across the grain. Cutting across the grain means that the meat is more tender, because if you cut with the grain, then you get the long fibers still involved in the meat, and that means it's going to be more chewy. Yep, so that's going to be enough for 3 to 4 people in this stir-fry dish. So slicing the beef in the right way is half the battle in getting tender meat out of a cheap joint of meat. Next step, we're going to do what we call velveting, or what the Chinese call velveting. And that means adding 1 teaspoon of cornflour or cornstarch and half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda or baking powder. If you're in the States, it's much the same thing. And we're going to give that a stir, and this is chemically going to start to break down the fibers and therefore give us more tender pieces of meat. People often worry about the aftertaste when it comes to especially the bicarbonate soda or baking powder, but I don't find it a problem. When you've added the rest of the flavors, when you stir fried it in the sauces, it tends to dissipate. I think if you fry off the meat and just have it as it is, yes, it does affect the flavour, but not when you finished it off in an actual dish. If it is a problem for you, then what I would suggest is after you've left this for half an hour or an hour, whatever time you can leave it to tenderize, then you can rinse off the meat, get rid of the excess cornflour, sodium bicarbonate or the baking powder, and that will reduce the amount of aftertaste left in the meat. And I think that will help a lot if it causes you any concern. Like I said, it doesn't really bother me at all. To this, we're going to marinate it in about a tablespoon of light soy sauce, half a tablespoon of sesame oil, and about half a teaspoon of sugar. It just adds a tiny bit of sweetness, which I think is really nice, very, very subtle. And then we give it a mix, and the liquid will also help transfer the tenderising ingredients throughout the meat. After you've done this, you can leave it for between half an hour and 2 hours, and your meat will be lovely and tender and flavoured. It's going to be great. So we're going to use a whole white onion for this bit. As the name of the dish implies, onion is quite a featured ingredient. I think we undervalue our humble onions. I think they're great. I think it's a fantastic ingredient. So we're going to slice it finely, like so. And that is going to give us the classic texture of this dish. Okay, look at that. I've also got 2 cloves of garlic and a thumb-sized piece of ginger, finely chopped, and this is going to add more flavour to our dish. Right people, that's our prep done. Now we're ready to wok and roll. Right guys, as usual, get that wok smoking hot. About 2 to 3 tablespoons of cooking oil in there. Give it a swirl round. You can see how hot it's getting. Now the first thing we're going to do is add our aromatics, ginger and garlic straight in. Okay. Literally give that a 5 to 10 second head start. Then we're going to put our beef straight in. Otherwise we're going to burn our garlic. Okay, we don't want burnt garlic. Burnt garlic equals bitter equals bad. Okay, with beef, get it hot, let it sit, spread it out like I just did, make sure we're getting some colour. Okay, imagine you're searing a steak. This is kind of what we're doing here. Once we've done that, you can start moving it a little bit, try to get the other sides coloured up as well, try and flip it. This is really quick dish to cook. It shouldn't take more than 3-4 minutes tops, depending on what type of flame you have. My humble little stove is not very powerful at all, but I can do it, so everybody can do it. You can even do it on electric or induction, on a non-stick pan or wok. You can do it. Just try to get your wok initially as hot as possible. Right, got some colour on. Bit of salt, bit of black pepper, onions in. Okay, get that moving. Fantastic, what a combination. Okay, I love onion, really do, and it's good for you. Really good for you. By the time we finish this dish, the onion should still have good bite, good texture. More salt and pepper going in there. Okay, light soy sauce. About a tablespoon. Dark soy sauce for colour. About half a tablespoon. It doesn't matter if you overdo one or the other, just make sure it doesn't go too salty. Look at that, what a beautiful golden colour. That is superb. I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid here. I've got half a veggie stock cube, you can use whichever one you like, and a little water. I'm not going to put all this in, just going to kind of give it a little bit of liquid, because what we don't want is something flooded in sauce. It's going to eventually just have a kind of coating almost. But you can obviously adjust it to what you like, but I don't like it too saucy. Not this dish. I quite like my sauces normally, but for this one, I like as is. So get that nice and hot again. We're pretty much there, guys. So quick. So quick. Just going to taste the sauce. Oh my god, that is good. That is so good. Okay, beautiful. And then, because we have got some liquid in here, I am going to add some cornflour slurry, cornstarch slurry, and this will thicken up the sauce. Great thing about cornflour slurry is it doesn't affect the flavour, and it keeps the sauce really nice and shiny. Looks great. Can you see? It's kind of sticky, not sticky, but it's reduced. It's reduced, if you know what I mean. We don't want it, I don't want it swimming in sauce. I want it like this. That is absolutely perfect. Guys, that is it. How long did that take? 3-4 minutes? Boom, as they say. This is amazing. I know, because I've made it many times. You hear that? Onions are still crunchy. The natural sweetness encouraged by a little bit of sugar we put in. Absolutely perfect. Let's try this beef, see if we did it right. Well, you wouldn't believe it's from the toughest, cheapest piece of meat you can buy in the supermarket. Honestly, if they told me this was steak, I'd believe them. It is so tender. Fantastic. And again, a classic underrated dish. That's so nice. Honestly, the stuff we put in to tenderize it, can't taste it. The flavours that we've added are either masking it or just pushed it to one side. Doesn't bother me at all. But like I said, if you want to rinse it off, do so. But could not be happier. If you like the idea of tenderising cheap cuts of meat, I've got a couple of videos there where I've actually tenderised steak using some techniques. Check it out. Check them out. I'll leave the link in the description as well, and see what you think if you want to try it. It really surprised me. So after you finish this video, go watch those. But yes, a triumph. Simple is often the best. And again, so quick, 3 to 4 minutes on the gas, you know, a few more minutes to prep. I mean, literally a few minutes. The whole thing took less than half an hour, much less than half an hour, apart from maybe waiting for the beef to velvet. But then, yeah, you put it aside, put some cling film over it, and you're good to go and do whatever you want for half an hour. Absolutely fantastic. Can't recommend this dish enough. Honestly, sometimes the simplest things are the best, and it's not an exaggeration. This is a really good dish. Doesn't sound very exciting, doesn't look, I mean, I could present it better. It doesn't look amazing, but honestly, it's just so nice, so comforting, so satisfying, so tasty. It's really, really good, and enough to share for 2 or 3 people here easily, maybe 4. The way we eat, we would do a few of these dishes, and then you could have a whole family around, or your group of friends, and you can all dig in, share, have it on some steamed rice, even with chips would be good. Whatever you want, it's all good. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to help the channel more directly, hit the super thanks button below. Any comments, any suggestions, what you want me to do next, leave them in the comment section below. Anything, criticisms, questions, I'll have a conversation with you. Keep it nice, I'll always respond. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.